Hello and welcome to Warp Factor Unknown, the podcast where we delve into the world of Star Trek for an unpredictable rewatch and discussion. I'm your host Dan, and joining me today is the Triple Whisperer, Tom.
Thank you, high honour.
And we are also joined today by a guest co-host all the way from the Mirror Universe, Emma.
Hello.
Fantastic. Emma, it's great to have you back. You joined one of our bonus episodes a little while ago. We spoke about Sub Rosa. Good to have you back. We are not talking about Sub Rosa today. We're talking about something, definitely better than Sub Rosa. Today, we are talking about the Star Trek original series episode by any other name, and that is from Series 2, Episode 22. Normally, when we have a guest on, we have a little chat with them, a bit about themselves and stuff, but Emma's a returning guest, so we haven't got to do that. If anybody does want to know a bit more about Emma and her relationship to Star Trek, go listen to the bonus episode. It's bonus episode 3. We're talking about Sub Rosa, so we're not going to do that today. We're going to dive straight into our recap. I'm going to pass you over to the reliable Mr. Tom for our recap.
Responding to a distress signal, the Enterprise crew encounters a group of Kelvins, aliens from the Andromeda Galaxy who've taken human form. They capture the ship and reduce most of the crew to small crystalline blocks, retaining only a few key officers to assist them in their plan to return to Andromeda. Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Scotty and Dr. McCoy work together to outwit the Kelvins by exploiting the emotional vulnerabilities of their newly acquired human forms. Kirk seduces the Kelvin Lieutenant, Kalinda. Spock spends time with the leader, Rojan, to stir up jealousy, while McCoy uses drugs on Hanar. Finally, Scotty gets Tomar drunk. Eventually, Rojan realizes the futility of his mission and agrees to settle on a nearby uninhabited planet, freeing the crew and relinquishing control of the Enterprise.
Excellent recap, Mr. Tom. Thank you very much.
A couple of tongue twisters in there.
A couple of tongue twisters.
Yeah. Those.
Yeah, some of those, yeah. Obviously, as always, I have a bunch of notes. But would anyone else like to kick us off today? Actually, no, sorry. I immediately interrupt. Emma, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
For someone who is not a Star Trek fan, and for someone who I'm going to assume has not seen the original series before, I was curious how much you knew already about the original series. Because Captain Kirk and Spock and the Enterprise, they're very culturally iconic. So how much did you know about the original series and these characters before you watched this episode just now?
I would say I don't know a huge amount about the original series. I have seen the films with the Chris Pine in them. So, like, and also you hear about Captain Kirk and Spock. So I think from, like, just them being cultural sort of icons. I've heard bits about them without actually seeing stuff. I think most of it is from those films that Chris Pine's in. So you sort of able to recognise, those are characters. So I've probably got some understanding of what they are, whether or not how different the original season is to films, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was actually kind of what I expected. I remember years ago when when Disney bought Star Wars and they made the first movies, episode 7, whatever it was called. And I had a colleague at work and was like, I've never seen Star Wars. And I was like, you don't have to. I'd seen the movie by that point, and I was like, you know who Han Solo is and Chewbacca. Like, they're so culturally iconic. You don't necessarily need to have seen the other movies to enjoy this movie. And, I suspect the same was similar for Star Trek, as Captain Kirk is. It's Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Captain Kirk. But yeah, okay, I'm going to go back now. Does anyone else like to kick us off with some thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was nice to meet someone that was equally, if not more so, possibly smug than Kirk in the episode. I thought Rojan was supremely smug. Just the fact when he walked up at the beginning and didn't say anything and just stood there exuding, I am better than you.
It really was, wasn't it? He was like, it was like a power play.
Yeah.
It was a good power play, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did enjoy this episode more than the Sub Rosa episode. The Sub Rosa episode was just really weird. Yeah. This was, I think this definitely was better. I have to admit though, this might just sound really odd, but when they first feed on the planet, something about the planet was really giving me Teletubby vibes. And I don't know if it's due to the colours or like fake grass they had, but it was very much like, oh, these are Teletubbies. And I also made it worse that the aliens, it all seemed to be wearing their own individual colours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the girl who was in blue, the guy who was in orange, the guy who was in sort of olivey green colour, and then another girl who was like a sort of a burnt browny orangey colour.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like, like Teletubbies, all just one individual colour.
That's amazing. I didn't get that, but now you say it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I just needed a smiling sun in the sky, didn't they?
Yeah, I had the exact same thing. Is that, when the episode first started, that opening planet set, pretty cheesy. I think even for the 60s, that set looked naff. But the longer the episode went on, I clocked myself realising this when I was watching it the first time. As it went on, as the story develops, I cared less about the crap sets, and I became kind of engrossed in the story. So it didn't matter as much. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
It's like the prison with the bars that were impenetrable to weapons. I said, just chip away at the rock at the side. It looks like it's plastic, but then after a while you start thinking, no, maybe it really is harder than it looks. And
That's actually a very good point. Yeah.
If
the whole cell had been made out of that.
No.
Yeah. I have like a bunch of like just very quick notes on mostly like the design and stuff, and like those initial reactions. So the redcoat lady, I can't remember, the one that dies. She's wearing a very pointy bra, and a similar thing with the Kelvin ladies. Their outfits are something. They really are. You would think the aliens would just choose something kind of like the guys, just wearing like jumpsuits, but no. The ladies, they took time with that, apparently.
No, I agree. I think it creates, from one point of view, it makes sense. And from the other point of view, these are aliens that do not experience human emotions. Like, yes.
The reality is we're talking about 1960s eye candy. I know. That is it.
Yeah, it definitely probably was showing that it was like a 1960s. Because all the girls were like wearing quite, I don't call it very short skirts, so it's quite sexualised.
Yeah.
Where I think, well, it's probably still happens today, but you kind of hope in something today there'd be even something a bit more practical for working on a spaceship.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken about this before, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, me and you, Tom, about how in some ways the original Star Trek series was very progressive. You have Uhura as this black lady, and she's a main cast member. She's on the bridge. You've got Chekhov, who is of Russian descent, and Sulu, who is of Japanese descent. Yeah, all there, front and center. So it is a very diverse cast, but also it's incredibly sexist. As a show,
certain ways that were maybe deemed that way.
Yeah. So for the 60s, you got to give it credit.
Yeah,
but only so much. But then not to like let it off the hook kind of thing.
Yeah,
kind of have got to give it a little bit of like cultural context, I suppose.
It would take another half a century, I think, before the first gay Star Trek character emerged. I think Star Trek Discovery is the first, unless I'm...
Yeah, no, Discovery,
so which would be more than half a century.
Yeah, since, definitely have a gay character in Discovery. An argument could be made for Dax in DS9.
Oh, true, yeah.
There was definitely a female story.
Like a symbiote.
Yeah. And just so you don't know, this is an alien character who has like it's kind of like a symbiont worm that lives inside of them. And when the human host dies, or the alien host dies, the worm thing goes to a new host.
Okay.
So this character is like 300 years old and had been a male 3 times and a woman 4 times. And they had previous relationships with other worms. So there was kind of that.
Yeah.
But you're definitely right. The first like proper gay character is Stamets in Discovery.
But I think fair play that they did everything else that they could do to make it as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, for the time. Yeah. So I think we're going to give it like a meh on that one.
Definitely a high meh.
A high meh. Yeah. When everyone freezes the first time and they get the button pressed and they all just go. Obviously, no one. If there's an audio format, but everyone just goes freeze.
It was Bones pointing at Spock and Spock having to look back for God knows how long they filmed it for without having to break a smile, and you could just imagine what Spock was seeing in real life. He would have been quite an intense scene.
It was quite intense.
I don't know how many takes that took, but
Hopefully just the one.
Hopefully just the one, yeah.
I noticed the eyes were still moving, though.
They did blink. I noticed
they blinked
that.
and stuff.
So yes, but the alien, Rojan specifically said it's the involuntary muscles, so maybe eyes don't count. I mean, blinking doesn't count. I was supposed to sorry. The voluntary muscles freeze, so the arms and stuff. But I would also say that eyes moving is voluntary. Blinking, no. Eye moving, yeah.
Yeah, the blinking definitely. Her blinked a few times, because that would suck if you're like frozen and then your eye was like drying up and you couldn't blink. You're like, can you go on freeze, please? We couldn't even say anything, could you? You'd have to like, I don't know, stare intensely until he blinked. Until he unfroze.
That's like a purgatory.
Oh, it'd be awful, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I did notice when they were frozen, they were like, this. Obviously, when you freeze for a long time, you try and hold it. You get these slight little twitches and like shakes that you cannot help. And I noticed that, and I thought, yeah,
actually okay.
Yeah.
Just when watching TV or movies in general, whenever there's a dead body on screen, I always try and pay close attention to see if the extra is breathing. I take great pleasure in that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you catch them and like they can't help it, of course.
No.
So these aliens are Kelvins. And they come from Andromeda. They had this Kelvin Empire. Does that imply that they control the entire galaxy?
I guess, or at least a quadrant of it.
Yeah, I was a bit confused, like how much control. They seemed pretty powerful. Not much more on that.
I know what you mean, because it seemed to be, because they were talking about it, how they were conquerors, and they wouldn't. What was the phrase they used? They conquer, but they...
Yeah, they wouldn't live as friends.
They wouldn't live as friends, yeah. So it kind of sort of applies that maybe this empire is very military focused, that it is very... I don't know, where they took the other races... This is the thing, because it wasn't quite clear, like, what would happen to the other races? Would they become slaves to this empire if they invaded? What's happened to the other races that live in the Andromeda galaxy? It was one of those things. But like, it could be interesting to learn some more things. Also, sort of talking about sort of the empire, because obviously they were talking about how it took them 300 years to get there, and the Calvins they met that Kirk met were not obviously the original Calvins that left on this mission. So it would be interesting to know exactly how long they lived for. So how many generations of Calvins?
Good question.
Yeah.
How many generations of Calvins had it been since they arrived on that planet? But also, I was wondering, because I can't remember her name, but the girl in the blue suit, Kalinda, she was talking about. There was a scene when she was talking about the flowers, and she was like asking Kirk, "What is this?" And then she mentioned, "Oh, we have like crystals or something that grow on Calvin, that she's seen it in the tapes." So that sort of raised that interesting idea, because these 5 Calvins, their only experience or knowledge of their empire is what they've learnt through tapes, which then raises the question of how accurate is the information that they've been given about their culture and society. Because potentially somebody could have just been really selective here and be like, we're only going to like essentially brainwash these future Calvins to have these like certain ideas.
Yeah, and also you said like she learnt it from tapes, not an older Kelvin. So where was her parents? Like maybe this is a race which sort of procreates in like a kind of like maybe like an egg or something, or maybe that when mother gives birth or however they're sort of made, then the parent one dies. Kind of like how when like spiders mate, some spiders, a lady spider will eat the male spider, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're almost like they're raised from tapes. Interesting.
Possibly,
yeah.
But also potentially if they lived as long as humans did, and it took them 300 years, it could have been 3 to 4 generations, maybe possibly even 5 generations, if for some reason space travel caused them to live shorter, meaning that it could have been her great-great-great-grandparents were the ones who left Calvin, and they died, and the next lot had died before she was born, so that knowledge, first-hand knowledge, never passed down to them.
So it could be fifth-hand knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because you think maybe they got a very glorialized view of their empire. So actually maybe the empire won't be able to come in and invade. And also it's been 300 years, so you don't know what state things could be in by the time.
And it's at the very end of the episode when Kirk is like finally convinced Rojan to, stay here in our galaxy. He's like, "You're human, you'll have changed, all that stuff." And he's right, they will be different by the time they get back. So how much relation can they have to this original Kelvin Empire?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. They're actually a surprisingly interesting alien race when you get into it.
Yeah, and it's sort of interesting you start trying to think of the wider sociological impacts, what could have happened to them, and maybe how they've been manipulated. But also it's like they've not had any personal freedom ever because they were born to do this mission. And it doesn't sound like they've spent that much length of time on that planet or in the galaxy. They've only just arrived.
They didn't get out much.
So they're going to literally have a few days on a planet thinking, yeah, this is okay, and then they're going to go back.
Basically, their mission was to confirm that our galaxy can sustain life. Job done, let's go back.
But they're never going to reap the rewards or benefits from that.
And on that journey, there's only 5 of them. With, that's not a very strong genetic pool.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. If their genetics are anything like human genetics, they're probably going to have some serious issues.
Yeah, I think, was it Spock or someone said that they have, in their original form, they have 100 tentacles. Well, these ones have 122 tentacles. They're
in red ones, yeah.
But also, because they had 3 males and 2 females, so depending on how they reproduce, how many did they start off with in the first place? Have they slowly been, the numbers been dropping simply because
they mentioned that some people died when they came through the galactic barrier and they escaped on an escape pod, so we assume these are just a small team of what's
They made it,
And so actually, on the galactic barrier, it comes up a few times in the original Trek and in the movies, and even in Discovery. And I did a bit of Googling on it and stuff. Turns out that the galactic barrier, I think this is... Okay, I say turns out from what I was reading on Star Trek forums, so who knows how true this is. But back in the 50s and 60s, it was a legitimate hypothesis of what actually was at the barrier of our galaxy. So the Star Trek writers were probably trying to be incorporate, in quotes, actual science into the show. Whereas obviously now we know that there isn't a galactic barrier.
Because at that time there was something, or it might have been a few years later, something called the Oort cloud, which they found to be true. And it's not Star Trek based, it's an actual scientific it's like a belt. I believe it's asteroids, I could be wrong, I need to verify this. But it's a true belt surrounding the solar system. And they probably thought, there must be one surrounding the galaxy as well. So that could be one of the route they were going to...
And they did it again in Star Trek 4, 5... The one where they meet God. That one, which is an absolute banger. It's not. But when the one that we meet God is in the centre of the galaxy. And again, there's a galactic barrier thing they have to break through there. Yeah, that movie is not great. Apart from the bit where they meet God, that bit is actually banging. That bit is fantastic. Okay, I have another thing. Again, a bit kind of about that sort of xenobiology kind of social structure thing. On the planet, there's a short scene where Hanar and Rojan, they're talking about being uncomfortable on the planet, how it's so open and it's really wide, and they can't wait to be back in spacecraft in their enclosed space. I'm thinking, well, is this just these characters who have lived their entire life in space, or is this a Kelvin thing?
The whole species,
Yeah, if the Kelvins are happy in space, in spacecraft, why do they need to colonize planets? Can't they just go and live in spaceships just outside their galaxy? Do you know what I mean? They could just be nomads, I guess.
I think it's probably, I would imagine, obviously, a generational thing. There's been 5 generations, and all they've known is the inside of this spaceship. And I don't know if they wouldn't be in tentacle form then, would they? In tentacle monster form.
I assume they would.
Oh, maybe they.
I don't know.
So they're probably quite happy slithering around their ship.
Yeah,
and it's all sorts of. But anyway, let's not go there. But basically, the thing is that they'd be happy, and then they come to this planet, and they have to go into these shells, as they call them, these human suits, and basically try and get all confined and be happy with it.
Yeah, because it's interesting, like, what exactly they meant by, like, the human shell suit things. Because, like, that the one that went to the sick bay and, like, Bones was giving him shots and stuff and being in there talking to him, it kind of, and he was kept telling him, oh, you need to eat proper food. It kind of almost suggests, like, eternally, he was now a human.
Well, I think that was the point, like, when they devised a plan about how we can manipulate their emotions, Spock points out they are now human with everything that entails, which makes you wonder, like, could they ever turn back to being tentacle monsters?
Yeah, and also it's like, what sort of technology or biological process do they have available to them that are able to them to take on essentially shape-shifting into other species?
Maybe that was on the original ship that blew up and then they're now stuck as humans. Turning people into shapes, little sugar cubes, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like, I think, like, if you're going to get put in front of a firing squad, there are worse ways to go. It's not bad. Seem pretty quick and painless.
The instant, reversible,
but also kind of scary, just to be a cube and just crumbled.
That's kind of one of those questions. Is that they said it was reversible, and so it seems even when you get cubed, you're just in like some sort of status that you're not aging or decaying. You don't need to eat any food or water or sleep or anything for that. Like, why can't they just get loads of the Calvins, do that to them before they leave the planet, and then when they arrive in
the other side of the galaxy,
I assume that's how they would do it.
Uncube them.
Yeah, because there have been like other sci-fi stories and stuff where you characters wake up from stasis, like alien stuff. Like I assume that's what they would do.
Seems to be like a painless version of stasis. You just get turned into a cube or whatever the shape was.
But a bit later on, when they had cubed the whole crew, Kirk turns a corner and there's just like a bunch of shapes on the floor. Surely they should have
at least put them on a shelf.
On a shelf.
Yeah, or like neat storage containers. Don't just leave them cluttering in the hallways.
There should have been a scene with drunk Scotty just sitting on some random person.
Or playing football.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then Kirk comes out, Scotty, these are people. Football.
Exactly. If they wanted to go for that more comedic angle, I just accidentally kill like 5 members of the crew.
Yeah.
Okay, when Spock goes into a coma, he's standing up.
Yes.
Why?
Why wouldn't he do it?
Sat down
or lying, and not tell them first, guys, I'm actually going to fall over.
Yeah.
I'm quite high and I'm quite tall. Can you catch me?
Yeah.
But no, he didn't.
It was very funny, but for a logical being.
Yeah, especially it's like he knew the whole process was going to happen.
Knew the whole process. Yeah, because like Bones and Kirk were both like almost caught off guard. They had to react to catch him. Yeah, and that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. Towards the end of our last podcast, Tom, I brought up the name of this podcast. Sorry, the name of this episode, Binding of a Name, and I was like, I wonder what that means. I don't have a clue. I never heard of it. And in the episode, Kirk brings up this quote from Shakespeare, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Actually, Star Trek loves quoting Shakespeare.
Yes.
Always calling about Shakespeare. When in doubt, Star Trek talks about Shakespeare. But I didn't know the quote. Do you guys even know the quote? Did you?
No.
Yes.
You did. Well done.
I had known of it because it's one that's quite popular. We quoted. Can't tell you where exactly what like Shakespeare play it's from.
I can.
Okay, have you looked it up?
I have. I did look it up. So Aurora's by any other name. It's from Shakespeare. Obviously, that we know that bit. Romeo and Juliet.
Okay,
Act 2, Scene 2. So yeah, I did not know that.
No.
But I wanted to, if you indulge me, I would like to read. I got the whole little scene from Shakespeare. I want to.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, no. Yeah, I got the whole scene written out here. I want to just read it out. So I had a thought about it and like about the title and when Kirk was talking about it. Here's my best Shakespeare. O Romeo, Romeo, where art thou, art Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if I wilt not, be sworn my love, and I'll no longer be Capulet. 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montacute. What's Montacute? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name, that which we call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without that title, Romeo, doth thy name and for that name, which is no part of thee, take all myself. Thank you very much. I'll take a bow. Clap, 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 clap. Thank you very much. I'll send this as my submission, like a podcast West End.
Yeah.
But I thought about it. I was like, well, obviously it has some significance. It's in the title of the episode, and they bring it up in the episode. And I was trying to I was like, are they trying to say anything here? What are they trying to say? And all I could get, and maybe you guys get something different, is Kirk trying to say that just because these Kelvins look human, they are still in themselves these tentacle monsters and the evil, and that sort of can never change. Is that I thought, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but maybe I'm not. Like, he's just sort of saying, you look human, you're not.
I'm not sure. I would say it might be the other way around, because it's the whole point Juliet is getting from that passage from Romeo and Juliet is that I think it doesn't matter what names, if they were Capulet or Montague, like they're still like their individual persons, and they're still like as good or as bad. So you talk about a rose would still be a beautiful, lovely smelling flower, even if we didn't call it a rose, if we called it something completely different. So I'm wondering if he's maybe trying to get at they are humans and they're going to become more human-like because they kind of lost that original body, and if they have really like true like internally like now have all the human organs and experience in the world as a human would through like our sense of art, sight and smell and taste, and now having human emotions, are they now a human even if they went by another name?
Yeah, good take. I think that might be better than my take.
Possibly. Yeah. So maybe that was the whole point when he was like saying, well, we can help you find a home, because that was like the whole point that kept coming around, saying actually no, you don't need to invade, we can help you out with sort of situation, and maybe they will be able to like go and join Earth. Or
no, that's a good point, because Kirk was very willing to forgive and very willing to offer these Kelvins a chance to come live with them. Even like he said, and at the end they send off a robot ship to go to Andromeda to offer this proposal. So they're basically inviting this whole empires of people to come to our galaxy, to come to the Milky Way, which I think was bold of Kirk to do that.
Well, it's going to affect future generations. It won't affect them too much, but yeah, fair enough.
It would also be something like there was sorts of issue going on in Andromeda where
it was going to cease to exist,
collapse.
Some radiation or something.
Which means they would have to find a new galaxy if their society was wanting to survive. I suppose it's one of those things that's again like, I suppose it's like having that choice of, well, they might come anyway, so we might as well try and build up a friendly relationship so they don't come as an invading army. But also like the whole, well, sort of maybe the good neighbour thing, where it's like, if you're in need, you would want them to help you. So
yeah, good point.
Maybe offer up the hand of friendship and help them out.
I was thinking about like the whole like, it's going to take 300 years there. Let's say it takes a bit of time for them to then prepare to to accept the invitation or reject it, whatever they're going to do, and then also come back. So it's going to be several hundred years.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like even as much as 1,000 years before these Kelvins come to our galaxy. I thought, that'd be a really cool concept for Star Trek to revisit in the future. Yeah. And Tom, and I was like, Discovery, you really missed a trick.
Yeah, they could have had.
Because as you know, Discovery, they went to the future, jump forward, and in the final season of Discovery, which we've not touched on this podcast, I don't think you've seen it. One of the main plot points of that series is that there's this big callback to a previous episode of Star Trek. You know TNG.
Yeah.
Do you remember the episode of TNG where Picard goes on an archaeology adventure? And
with what's her face? With Baz? His girl, Baz, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think she's there. Anyway, and it turns out there is this really old alien race, which was kind of like the seed of a galaxy, and they were like sentient before there was any other life. So they spread their genetic material around on planets, and then basically it was just sort of saying that humans, Vulcans, Romulans, Klingons, they all share a common ancestry.
Yeah.
Season 5 of Discovery, they revisit that, and there's a whole thing about that race coming back up and some technology, and they've got to go find it. it wasn't the best series of Star Trek, but I quite enjoyed that callback, and I really quite enjoyed that. But having just watched this, Kelvin invading would have been way better. That would have been fantastic. It's about the right time. Discovery jumps 900 years in the future. And when Discovery first takes place, it's just about before Kirk's Enterprise. So that would have been way better than whatever it actually did with these aliens.
The Kelvin's back.
Yeah, bring the Kelvins back. Bring back Kelvins.
That could be a spin-off, Star Trek Kelvin.
It could still come back, yeah. I think that'd be really cool. My favourite scene. They've gone to engine... So they're all back on the ship now, and they're going to the galactic barrier. Scotty and Spock have determined that they can't disable this jamming field thing, but they did set up a way to self-destruct the Enterprise. And they tell Kirk what's on the turbo lift. They get to the bridge, and Kirk is in that position. Does he self-destruct the ship or not? This is a true Kobayashi Maru situation. Emma, do you know what the Kobayashi Maru is?
No.
Okay, it's in the Starfleet Academy when they're training up, and it's like a simulation to test how Starfleet officers will react in a no-win situation. And the idea is, it's no-win, you can't solve it, you just have to see how they react. And it comes up a few times in Star Trek. I think it might be in the 2009 movie. Anyway, this is that. Kirk is in a no-win situation. Kirk lives here. Kirk thrives here. This is when Kirk is at peak. Like, Picard, stick him in, like, some sort of diplomatic treaty negotiation. He's got it. That's your man. You want something you can't win? You want Kirk. This is it. And especially just afterwards when Rojan then announces, start the neutralization, turn everyone into cubes. So Kirk's now lost his ship throughout the galaxy, he's lost his crew. Without knowing it, Rojan has put Kirk exactly where he needs to be. Kirk doesn't know that, of course, but in my mind, perfect. I've always loved it. I really like seeing Kirk squirm, but you could just sort of see that, this is where he lives. This is where Kirk is best. Yeah. Best scene, hands down. Yeah. I love that.
I think my best scene is the fight scene. But at the end, I just love it. Kirk and Rojan just like throwing down, and all caused by the music, and then she's looking on. It's like, oh, it's fighting for me. Although she's not. She's thinking that's some technical version. But also, I just like the whole. I don't know. It felt real, and it looked like some of the hits actually hurt. Especially when he got thrown against a wall and over the table. So I thought, good fight scene.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed that the climax of the show.
Yes, it was a good climax.
Yeah. Emma, any favourite scenes?
I haven't got a favourite scene, but just thinking through the episode. So at the point when Kirk and Bones.
Yeah. There's Scotty and Spock.
I don't think Scotty was they were in the prison on the planet.
Yes.
So there's only 2 of the aliens on the ship. Like, why wasn't the crew trying to do anything? It seemed to be very much they're just sitting there waiting to
get frozen.
Yeah, and we're just waiting for Kirk to come and save the day. Like, why aren't they thinking up their own plan and trying to do something?
Because this is season 2 of the original series, and by this time Kirk has single-handedly saved the ship and seduced a woman 100 times already. No, I have no idea. Yeah. I just for the story, I suppose, because you're right. It does show obviously that they appear on the Kelvins appear on the ship and just immediately buzz the people into freezing. You would have thought somebody would have tried something.
Yeah, and I think of it, there's so many. Even they can freeze people, but there are so many. They're so outnumbered. Like, somebody creep up behind them and hit them back of the head? I don't know.
Like Kirk did. He did that on Kalinda.
It's interesting because it's almost like you kind of wanted them to be like an episode where the captain's in prison and they'll be like, oh no, we need to get out and rescue the ship. And when they get onto the ship, the crew's just like, yeah, we dealt with it. We've done it.
I love that. That's fantastic.
We've dealt with it. They're in the brig already. So
I could see Lower Decks doing that. I'd be fantastic. Because we have countless episodes of the Captain Saving the Day. Back to TNG. Do you remember the episode where TNG with Picard, and the ship's been deserted because it's maintenance and they can Picard's got his horse riding saddle, and there are some people trying to like take over the ship, like maintenance workers, and he single-handedly diehards and takes them all down. But yeah, it'd be great if the nobodies could do that, and then Kirk's like, oh, thanks, I'll just take a seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can we talk about flirting and sex? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
These things.
Yeah, I thought the flirting in this episode, to start with, was a bit cringy, especially the kiss scene. I mean, I'm sure we all had that reaction when we kiss someone, but he really had it to them. I don't think Kirk's used to getting that sort of...
Well, actually, I've seen quite a bit of the original series. That's just how they do kissing.
Yeah.
It must be a 60s TV thing.
Yeah.
You don't get no tongue.
No tongue, no. It was literally, perk her up and go for it. And then she suddenly warmed to it as a form of an apology. But I just thought that smarminess and the smugness of the flirtation. It's like, how could... And then, of course, they could, because he's Kirk. And it just works.
Kirk,
yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah, if it was any other captain...
Can you imagine Picard
exactly, it wouldn't work. Cisco,
excuse me,
none of them.
What are you doing? Yeah.
None of them it would work with. Only Kirk
Yeah.
can that kind of story work.
Yeah.
Not that the other captains don't have romance things, but Kirk has a particular way of romancing.
Yeah. I kept thinking, because it's quite short, like, how they've turned human. Like, would you just spontaneously turn back into the tentacle monster during the kiss?
Have you guys seen Galaxy Quest?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a bit where a human-looking alien is getting with one of our hero cast, and during the smooch session, a tentacle does appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. So exactly that end of the Galaxy Quest scene. But yeah, she's 100% right that humans, we do think a lot, and we do dedicate a lot of our literature, movies, TV, music.
Most songs.
Everything to love, and sex, and romance. Probably one of the best things we do. Other than killing each other.
Yes.
Love and death.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that a lot. Pretty good at it.
It's also because Kirk told her that's how they apologise.
He's basically lied to her.
Yeah, it's a lie to her, but also, like, it's now going to be like this colony of these aliens where they think that's the social acceptable way to apologise to people. And that's going to be especially 10, 20 years down the road where maybe they've like...
When Star Trek talks about cultural contamination, that's exactly what they mean.
Yeah, but somebody's going to be rocking up to that planet, and that's just how the great people now. That'd be a bit alarming.
Well, that's just a level 1 apology, and then there's other levels as well, presumably. It's like, God, you imagine going to an alien trying a level 3 apology.
The tentacle will come out. That's so funny. That's really funny. Oh, we did have another note, actually, about the romancing. When Rojan tells Kalinda not to hang out with Kirk, when he's getting jealous and stuff, and she pushes back, and she's like, no, I'm going to do this. You can't tell me what to do. I quite like that.
I'm your commander.
We was talking earlier about like how sort of a bit out of touch and old-fashioned this show was, but there's a woman sort of stating what she wants quite clearly. It's like, no, she's basically saying, I'm going to have sex with this guy. Smooching be damned. That's what they're really getting at. So I was like, yeah, no.
Fair play?
Yeah, fair play, I think, on that one. Yeah, go Kalinda. You know what you want, girl.
It's also interesting with their power structure of the aliens, because it comes back to that whole, they've been born to do this mission, and Rojan was saying at one point, his descendants would be captains. So does that mean his sort of ancestors, the ones who first went on the mission, they were the captains? So, were they like essentially born into replacing their parents?
Yeah, kind of like a dynasty. But again, these are people that survived on like an escape pod. He might just be some lieutenant, and he's just now the next in line. The actual captain may have died. Who knows? Possibly.
But that does sort of raise this suggestion that maybe, because obviously not all people, like personality-wise, whatever, or skills, will have the skill set or personality to be like a good captain. Maybe he might be one of those people where he doesn't have that skill set, and now he's trying to make these decisions, and it's kind of falling apart a bit.
Yeah, that we're being now human, just can't do it.
Yeah.
And maybe his crew maybe just never had the respect for him in the first.
Yeah, no, very
and also if they like essentially grew up together, they have more of a friendship, sibling relationship.
Well, I think the
almost.
implication is, I think Spock mentioned it, is they don't have emotions in their tentacle form, so none of these power struggles would have existed, I guess.
No?
Otherwise, these problems would have materialized. It's like 150 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just a brand new thing they've got to deal with. Scotty getting drunk. It's funny. I think it goes on a bit too long. It's like kind of like they have one joke there, and it's just the same joke over and over again. I think they could have played around with that a little bit more. We mentioned earlier that Scotty playing football, or so they could have taken that joke a bit further, because it was almost like Scotty was trying to indulge his gluttony. Like they could have gone on a food bin. I don't know, listen to music. I don't know, something else. But I like two things about that whole getting drunk scene. First of all, it's not a callback. I'm going to call it a callback because that's how I first would have seen these. It is green thing to drink. Data does that in a TNG episode. I can't remember which one. He's behind a bar giving a drink, and he looks at it, sniffs it. It is green, and gives a drink. It's pretty funny. I didn't realise it was also an original series. That's great. I kind of like that TNG called that joke back.
Yeah.
I think Data did it better.
I do have to say the guy that was drinking with Scotty, his passing out was the best pass out of drinking I've ever seen.
It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like, that's so stupid. That's even more stupid than Spock going into a coma, stood up. What was it? He threw his head back.
Went back, yeah. And then it was just...
That was over. Original series sometimes gets said about, they overact, like Kirk quite a lot.
Yeah.
No, that was...
There was a modicum of overreacting.
That is real overacting, that is. Yeah, that was my other note about that guy. Passing out. So stupid. Really funny, but almost a bit out of place.
Yeah,
amongst
the relatively serious episode,
Yeah.
I have to say, with that scene, assuming it was in Scotty's room.
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt they could have been more creative with the set design. Because I noticed he had, a kilt,
bagpipes,
and some armour. And that's, to represent the fact that he's Scottish.
Yeah. And he likes drinking, Emma.
So we get very, very stereotypical there. But it's I'm pretty sure Scottish people don't necessarily always decorate their spaces with bagpipes. Maybe they could have done something a bit more subtle and a bit more clever.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct.
Nods.
Scotty is not the most well-rounded character in terms of his cultural heritage. Back towards the beginning. We're going back in time. I was trying to do this in order, but it just didn't happen. Never does. They're in the cell, and they're talking about how they're going to escape, and someone says, we need to get hold of the central device. It's like this field device thing, projector thing, so they can jam it. And Kirk has that idea, and he says, if we get the thing, we can jam the thing and do the thing, and whatever he says. And I like that. Earlier I was saying about how Kirk thrives in these no-win situations, and Kirk always gets the lady and stuff, and he's always fighting people and what have you. But it was nice to see Kirk come up with the plan. He was the man with the plan this time. Yeah. Normally, if I'd seen the script, I would have been, that's a Spock line. That's Spock saying all that's nonsense. I like that Kirk got that. Go Kirk. Give it to Shatner. Right, let us wrap it up. So, final thoughts and an IMDb rating. Who wants to go first? Tom, go first.
I'll go first. I enjoyed this whole episode. I thought it was watchable in a good way, not a cringy way, which I was sometimes expecting when watching the original series. You think, what am I actually in for? I've never seen this episode before in my life, but right from the start and the planet, I just thought, the smug alien race, how is this story going to develop? And then the flower and the whole little callback to her own planet. And then, obviously, when they go onto the ship, and they're like, Kirk realizes he's actually, for once, maybe out of his depth with these people. And he has to use all his powers of persuasion and flirtation to actually turn things around, which he does. I was in for the ride for the whole thing. I really enjoyed it. I liked the ending as well. The fact that they get a chance to invite the tentacle monsters to their galaxy with an invitation from a robot droid. I thought that was great. Could leave future generations at great risk, but
that's their problem. Yeah,
so deal with it when they get there. But yeah, on the whole, enjoyable original series episode. I'm going to give it a rating of 7.8.
7.8, very high, very good, very good. Emma, take us away.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that episode. Definitely better than the first episode you showed me.
Anything.
And I think it definitely raised some sort of interesting thinking points in terms of like this whole social dynamic of essentially sending off beings into space on a mission they're never going to see through, and expectations they're going to breed and reproduce during the mission so that their descendants are going to finish it. That does sort of raise some ethical questions. It's also interesting to see. I doubt that will ever happen in human space exploration, but if we ever want to explore further galaxies, we're going to have to find some way to do that. So I wonder if when they were talking about them, they were maybe thinking about any future expeditions that might happen. I don't know.
Fantastic. And an IMDb rating, if you had to give it one?
6.1. Like, to be fair, I don't tend to look at IMDb ratings. I can't in my head think what is good and what is bad.
What would you give it out of 10?
So on IMDb, as a general rule, 7 is like good.
Okay.
8 and 9 are like, this is fantastic. 4, 5 is, this is terrible. You never see anything that's rated like 2 because it's 2. You know what I mean? Like it's 5 isn't okay. 5 is bad. 7 is okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'd probably go 6.5.
6.5. Pretty good. Good. Yeah, I also had an absolute blast at this one. It was a lot of fun. I think it was a really good episode of the original series, and I said, like, it started off with that set. It was a bit cheesy, but I bought straight into it, and I was really engaged through the episode the whole way through. And I loved seeing Kirk in that no-win situation. Really good episode. And we get actually quite a lot of focus on the 4 main cast, which was nice, even if Scotty was a bit naff. And I really enjoyed our conversation today. That whole like societal thing about them traveling across space and like their societal structure and how it all works. Yeah, that's kind of the point of this podcast. I really like getting to talk about Star Trek and going on those little journeys. I had a great time. What am I going to give it? What did you rate it, Tom? 7.8? 7.8. Yeah, I'm going to give it the exact same, 7.8. So I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Okay.
It was, definitely above average, above average, above good. Yeah, definitely on that like really good sort of realm I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Okay, Star Trek by any other name gets a 7.5.
Does it indeed?
Yeah.
Quite close by. Yeah.
Quite close by, yeah. So it's obviously...
But even for on an IMDb rating, that's really good.
I don't know where like this would rate in like a top 10 ranking of original series.
No.
I don't know. Actually, I do know what the top rated one is. It's is it City on the Edge of Forever?
Oh, that's a well-known sort of highly rated one.
Yeah, that's like the 10 out of 10 one. Yeah. Couple things to do. Let's now select us the next episode for us to watch. Before we select the next episode, just a couple of little highlights, some of the rules we go by. We will watch 2-parters. We will not watch whole story arcs. If we somehow get the same episode, we will go up or down. The show we have just watched can't be watched next. We've just watched the original series. We can't watch the original series next time. Well, that leads me into the next rule. For each season of Warp Factor Unknown, so for each 10 episodes we record, we will only watch the same show twice. This has just been our second watch of the original series, so no more original series for the rest of Warp Factor Unknown Season 2. That also applies to Enterprise. We've now watched 2 Enterprise and 2 original series, so they're out the running, which I believe will take our list down to 12.
Yes, so I'm going to take out Enterprise.
Yep.
I'm going to take out original series.
Yep, and there should be 12 on that list.
There are now 12. Here we go. Random number. I'm going to do 1 to 12.
Remember, folks, this is 1 to 12 in the order which Tom has written it down.
Yes.
Not in any particular order.
And we have 12.
12.
So that's that's the highest spectrum of our rolling.
So random.
So now let's have a look and see what that is. Huh? It's a very short.
Oh, we're very short.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that will give us a very short podcast.
Yeah.
Basically a week off.
And we've already seen one last.
We have already seen one of us in last season.
Yes, we have.
Suggestion. I'm just going to throw it out there. Because these are very short, we could watch 2 very shorts.
We could.
And just Because there's only 5 of them total.
Why don't we watch the remaining very shorts if you want?
I mean, we could do. We could just do
have a very short
4.
binge. What, it takes 20 minutes?
Yeah, and then we do like 15 minutes or like 10 minutes per, in the
of
podcast.
each one. Yeah,
okay.
We'll go through it. Yeah, I'd be up for that. Yeah,
fine. We're gonna watch all of the remaining very shorts. Oh damn it! I now need to know which one we watched before.
let me look.
Which one did we watch before? Yeah, can you put up the names? We watched the blooper reel one.
Yes.
What was that? Holiday Party. I think it was Holiday Party. Yeah, we watched Holiday Party before. So we're gonna watch the remaining 4. I've got a list here on my laptop. I don't know if they're in order, so I'm going to read them out, and these are the ones we're going to watch. Walk, Don't Run, Ups and Downs, Skin a Cat, Holograms All the Way Down, and Worst Contact. We're going to watch all the very shorts apart from Holiday Party. So, thank you for listening to Warp Factor Unknown. I've been your host, Dan. I've been joined by my co-host, Tom.
Nice to be here.
And we've also been joined by our guest co-host, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Really good to have you both on, of course. Today we talked about the original series. The episode was By Any Other Name. Join us next time as we take another deep dive into the Star Trek universe, and we discuss the Star Trek very shorts. 4 of them. All of them except Holiday Party. So until then, thank you for your continued support. If you would like to contact us, you can email us at warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. That again is warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. You can also leave comments for us on Spotify and YouTube, and please share the podcast and rate the podcast. Do all those things that all your content creators ask you to do, whatever that is.